After seeing the harsh reality of education in Africa in 2007 as a volunteer worker, Ja-yeon wanted to contribute to improving the quality of education in African countries. And she finally found the answer. She launched HoE is Education International, a project designed to provide advanced education to children in Africa.
안녕하세요. 저는 호비스 에듀케이션 호이의 박자연이라고 합니다. 특별히 호이는 교육의 질에 관심이 있는데요. 교육의 질은 교사의 질을 뛰어넘을 수 없다는 생각으로 교사가 성장하는 과정을 지원하고 있습니다.
It all began 10 years ago with just 2 A4 pages. But now, the project has grown enough to produce tangible results. Today on Heart to Heart, Ja-yeon, Nature Park, the founder and president of HoE is Education International.
아이들과 함께 저도 꿈을 거예요.
Welcome to the Heart to Heart Studio Nature. It's wonderful to have you joining us today. Could you say hello to our viewers that are watching our show?
Hi, my name is Ja-yeon, Nature Park, a founder of HoE Education International. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you for inviting me into your show.
Okay, thank you for coming to our studio. For those of our viewers that are not familiar with HoE is Education International, could you maybe tell us about the organization?
Okay, HoE Education International is a global education and cooperation NGO. When I found this NGO, I want to support education in Africa. When you think about supporting education in Africa, is to think making school building first, but I thought a little bit different. In my opinion, education can be possible between teachers and students, and the quality of education cannot exceed one of the teachers. But there was no organization to deal with teacher training, and there are a lot of teachers to not do proper teacher education. So I want to start this organization.
So HoE is actually...
Actually, that's the words I made. Because when I found the NGO, in those days people think just people who love Africa is like that. But I want to make some fancy word. So I adopt HoE in education. And then these words to have a broad meaning, to translate many meanings. And then we start in Africa, but someday we can help more schools in the global. So I do not want the possibility of HoE just in Africa.
I see. Now, I understand that you studied law and you were preparing to take the state bar exam. And this was when you suddenly changed your mind about your career path. So what made you change your mind?
Actually, I didn't know myself at all. My father wanted to be a lawyer, and I was very obedient girl to follow his direction so well. But when I entered university, I found that I didn't have any interest in studying law, and instead I was interested in studying law, studying music, art, and literatures. And while falling for this kind of hobbies, I was very interested, and I found I have a great passion to pursue my inner desire in spite of many realistic challenges. And also I found I didn't have any willing to succeed as a lawyer, so I quit studying law.
So when you decided to change your career path, not continue to study law, for example, and take the state bar exam, how did your family or even friends react?
Because I pursued my inner desire, so everyone knows I do not like law, and then I like others. So it was a very big sacrifice to consume my brightest time of my 20s. So I do not want to repeat the occurred behavior anymore. So I want to find the right way for me to live with my value of life, because I want to commit myself to find the right things, but I didn't know what is that. So I think it's very important to get an opportunity, but the only opportunity for me to allow was to work for the international NGO. So that's why I started work at international NGO as an intern.
I see. So you worked as an intern, you did a lot of volunteer work, specifically in Africa.
Yes.
And so how did you start Hope is Education International, though? Working as an intern is one thing, and actually starting an organization is a whole different story.
Yes, 1 year in Africa changed my life fundamentally. And while staying in Africa, I met Rendile. Rendile is a minor tribe in northern Kenya. In the northern Kenya has been suffered severe drought and famines for over 30 years. They could survive only aid food provided by Kenya government and some international organizations. I was wondered how they could live under these severe conditions, but I also felt very hard because it was not familiar the culture and languages and climate. But in those days, I met very kind people to understand me, to help Rendile and their communities. And one Rendile lady adopted me as her family member. And then she gave me a Rendile name. And then my Rendile name was Korea Gilgichan. Korea Gilgichan. And then Korea means a girl who was born in Kor, in that village, and then or a girl who belonged to Kor. So it's a very common name for Rendile girls.
But very meaningful.
Yes,
very meaningful.
Yes, because I was a foreigner, an expat, but they accept me as their member of their family. So I felt a strong bond between Rendile and myself. And then since then, I want to commit myself to help Rendiles. But it was very hard to find how to help Rendiles. And I also saw there are many aid programs to support Rendiles, but there was no fundamental changes. So I want to find different way, and as I thought, that's education. So since then, I changed my question from how to improve Rendile's life to how to provide a better education for Rendile. That's the start.
Oh, wow. It's a very big start, but yeah, I mean, starting is beginning, as
yes,
people
because
say.
I felt a very strong bond between Rendile and myself. It's very weird. How can I have a strong bond like that? But that's the real story for me.
Yes, maybe you were meant to start Hope is Education. So you went to Kenya to start Hope is Education International, and I'm sure there were many obstacles. What was the very first obstacle that you had to overcome?
Yes, I don't have any background of education and international development, so I could get help from my friends who work as teachers. And then I started with 3 teachers for the first time, and then we recruited 2 more Korean teachers. And then we developed teacher training workshop for African teachers at first, but we do not know their actual life at all. So we researched their textbook, but we cannot understand what is that and how it works in the school at all. So first time we thought they don't have education methodology. So if we provide some education materials, and they can know how to teach students with the materials. But when we went to Kenya, we found they are already teachers. There's nothing to teach them, or we had to learn from them first because we didn't know about that. So we had to change all of our workshops. We had already spent a lot of time and energies to make that, but we decided to change everything. But the climate was very severe for us, even to run the less, and it was very hot and dry. But we had to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and the seminar start at 8 a.m.
8 a.m.
And then it ended at 5 p.m.
From 8 a.m. to 5 p.m.?
Yes, and then, but that's the course. And then after that, we came back to accommodation, and then we prepared for dinner for ourselves because there was no restaurant at all. And then from 8 p.m. to the 3 a.m. of the next day, we had to provide, we had to fix every session of the workshop. So it needs a lot of energies. It was very hard to mentally as well as physically. So there are many teachers to be burnt out after the workshops.
Of course, I would imagine. If I was a member, I probably would have said, I give up. You worked very, very hard.
Yes.
Getting only 3 hours of sleep a night.
Yes, so in those days, very intensive course for everyone.
Yes. How many classes does how many students does a normal class usually have?
There are a lot of students in one classroom.
I heard as many as 100?
Over 100.
That's amazing.
Yes, so maybe there's no teacher to teach over 100 students at the same time. Government knows they provide more teachers, but it needs a lot of money and time, so it's very hard to fix them.
So they perhaps know that something needs to be fixed, but
yes.
They
need time, actually.
Right, and perhaps even more than that. Now, since we're talking about the education system, I'm curious about how education is provided in African countries. Let's say, let's take Kenya or Uganda in particular. So what was one of the biggest problems?
Okay, the biggest problem we face is a teacher is not in the classrooms.
If there isn't a teacher in the classroom?
Yes, there's no teachers in the classroom. Okay, if an African girl or boy gets up early in the morning, and then he or she goes to school, and it takes about 2 hours to go to school. But the student enter a classroom, there's no teacher. And teachers come to school around 11 a.m. and they are very late. And some teachers leave classroom earlier without any permission or excuse. So
what's the reason behind this, though?
Actually, their salary is very poor, and then they cannot get the salary on the proper time. So they have to do another work for their living. And then we cannot criticize them. And then their school is very poor and very far away from their home. So it's very hard to come to school. Anyway, it's a big problem. And then there's a term, teachers' absenteeism actually is a very biggest challenge for the international society as well.
Oh, I see. So teacher absenteeism.
Absenteeism, yes.
All right. Now, we've got many more questions waiting for us, but we're going to take a short break.
Okay.
So you're tuned into Heart to Heart, and joining us today is guest Nature Park. Her Korean name is Park Ja-yeon. She's the founder of HoE is Education International. Let's take a quick video break and take a look at the efforts made by HoE is Education. Now, the efforts they've made over the past decade.
제가 호에 처음 살 때 저한테 되게 많이 힘이 되어줬던 친구들이에요.
A strange educational environment. The absence of teachers in classrooms. There was nothing HoE in Education could do easily. However, Park Ja-yeon refused to give up and believed in the power of education. And the dreams of Korean teachers are gradually changing things. HoE in Education's 10 years amounts to a chapter of change and growth. It was all possible thanks to Park Ja-yeon, who traveled back and forth to achieve HoE in Education's goals. Korean and African teachers joined hands to bring about change.
선생님들이 지속적으로 성장해야 한다라고 생각을 해서 교사 연수라는 프로그램을 기획을 하게 됐는데요. 우리가 일방적으로 우리의 교육을 가르치려고 온 것이 아니고 우리는 오히려 아프리카의 교육을 배우기 원하고 그래서 우리가 같이 성장하기 원한다고 설득을 했고 그렇게 해서 아프리카 선생님들이 저희와 함께 그 프로그램에 참여하게 됐습니다.
So it's been about 10 years to be exact, and this is when you started to actually put together an organization or help education, and you founded the organization in 2009. So it's been quite a long time. It's been 10 years since you've been working on Hope is Education International. You must have so many stories to tell about this long 10-year, amazing 10-year journey. So could you tell us a few stories?
Personally, I give thanks to everyone to be with me because it was a long journey and I experienced how a tiny idea has been developed to a real program to can give real impact to people's life. And then I saw many teachers from Africa and even Korea. They can change their life and then they grow up together. Then they give strong influence with each other. It was very big achievement for me. And they were very inspired by Korean teachers. Korean teachers visit them every year, and then they learn their passion and then their sacrifice. So they can organize their own community as a tita, and then they can support each other for themselves. It looks a sign for me to for them to live for themselves. So it's a very amazing for me. And then we moved to Uganda in 2014 because we had already finished the project in Kenya and then there's nothing for us to do anymore.
I see.
So, but when we moved to Uganda, we had already have a lot of experience and understanding of local teachers' life and surrounding. So based on this kind of experience, we can launch a new program to empower public primary school teachers by building a learning community at their schools. So teachers make a learning community at their schools. They can help each other and then they can freely exchange ideas and feedbacks how to improve their class so that they can help each other how to improve their classes. So now they know how to teach, and then they also enjoy the class, and then they come to school on time, and then they prepare lessons well. So we also see how teachers change it, and then every education stakeholders like education office and the funding organization, they also see the tremendous change of the school. So everyone is very happy to see the real change of the school. And then now there are 3 schools has already graduated from our program after 2-year caring. And then there are 12 more schools to working closely with us.
12 more. Okay, 3 down and 12 more to go. Could you maybe tell us about the most memorable or rewarding moments?
Okay, HoE is Education is an NGO to support teachers' professional development. So it's very important to see how teachers feel their personal growth and change, because if teachers experience personal growth and change, they can read others' change as well, and then it also affects students' life as well. And it's very wonderful to see how they grow up.
Yes. I guess, I don't know, the most rewarding moments, such as seeing people improve, seeing people grow up, become stronger. I mean, especially when you put in so much effort. Those are the things that really motivate us to keep going. And, you know, the things that stop us or prevent us from giving up. So we've actually prepared something for you. I guess a small surprise that might give you, I don't know, extra energy, support, I don't know, emotional support.
Okay.
So yeah, let's take a look at the monitor over there and you'll find out what the surprise is.
Yes. A woman wrote a letter to her mother. Now, a woman is a girl. Who gave a thanks? Thanks the mother.
This is a classroom.
Yes, right.
An ordinary classroom. They're studying very hard.
Yes, they are studying very hard.
Thank you, HoE. Thank you for coming to our school. Thank you for the great work you are doing in our school.
I love teachers. Thank you for coming to our school. We love our teachers. Our teachers are teaching us well.
Look at them. They're so cute.
I didn't know.
You would break into tears. So I asked our staff, do you have any tissue? Please have some tissue ready because I said our guest may break into tears because I almost did just now. So how did that make you feel to see the students and a teacher, just a classroom full of kids and a teacher and just kids having a wonderful time in class?
Yes, that's the change we have made. And then I'm also very glad to see that. How can I say? To express how I feel.
Can anyone become a member or even participate in HoPe's education?
Yes, first time we started with teachers, but there are more members, but they are not teachers. And then we have around 200 personal donors who support us every month from $10 to $30. But without their support, we cannot survive.
Yes.
And so if you're willing to help us and donate to us, it will be very helpful for us to keep forward. And there's another program to learn global issues in our program. We called it Global Citizenship Education Program. So we had workshops for adults as well as for kids. So if you are a teacher of a school, you can apply for the workshops to our organizations.
Okay, so what exactly happens at these workshops? What do people experience?
Okay,
what do they
people have to know what happens in the global society because they do not have any understanding and information. And because of some media pornographies, they know only the negative side of the Africa and developing countries.
Yes.
And we have to fix their prejudices and then take action together.
I see. And now, would you like to tell us about your ultimate goal? So what's the ultimate goal of HoPe's Education International?
Okay, I'm interested in personal growth and then social change as well. And HoPe's education aims at to achieve quality education by supporting teachers' professional development. That's our original goals. But we also found we need also many supporters to make this idea can make happen. So that's why we also focused on the global citizenship education. And we also want to share the education issues with other society. That's because changes in education can lead a change in society, and we believe and some changes can be possible if we try to change education first. So,
I think, as you mentioned earlier, you started with a very small idea, a very tiny idea, maybe just a simple word, education. But you've built something so grand and so important and so meaningful. And I hope that although you may think right now that it's a very big dream or distant dream,
Yes.
that soon, very soon, your dreams will come true. And I hope that, just like the students in the video,
Yes.
you can feel their love and how much they enjoy being in class and studying. So as I say, I love Nature Park and I love HoE. We wish you and the organization the best of luck. And once again, thank you for joining us on our show today.
Well, thank you for inviting me and to listen to my story.
Thank you. 감사합니다.
네, 감사합니다.